Hi, parents. I'm so happy tonight to welcome Lisa Fischer to our interviews. She is going to be a speaker at the You Got This event on September 29th for middle school girls. And we're so thrilled she's going to be on the panel because she's absolutely amazing when it comes to fashion and giving fashion advice. And she's going to encourage all of your girls to really embrace who they are. And it's going to be so fun. So, Lisa, welcome to the interview tonight.
Hi, Sherry. It's so exciting to be a part of Teen Wise and great to be here with you.
The girls are really lucky they're going to hear from you. And the parents tonight are so lucky to hear from you as well. Lisa is the founder, CEO, fashion guru who owns Lisa Fischer Styling. And she is just amazing at what she does. She's able to bring out the best in everybody and allow them to represent themselves on the outside by the clothes that they choose to wear. And she's not about trying to make everybody fit a mold. She's about who are you? Who do you want to be? How do you want to come across? And let's get you to that point with your clothing.
Oh man, you say good. You need to be my marketing person. You're amazing. Yeah,
It's so true.
yeah.
So true. So Lisa is awesome. So we're so lucky to have her here tonight. So let's just start, Lisa. Let's dive in and tell us a little bit about how you started doing what you're doing.
Oh, thank you. Well, I get that question a lot after a speaking engagement. People often before the event will have an assumption and ask, gosh, how'd you get into the image business? Were you in retail? You must be a fashionista. You must spend all your time in shopping and fashion and trends. And actually, none of the above. I actually got into the image industry 18 years ago out of sheer 1000% desperation. At the time, 18 years ago, my kids were 9, 7, and 5. And I realized, as a mom, when it came to teaching my kids life skills, that I honestly could not really even teach them some of the basics, such as how to set the table, right? I didn't know where your fork really went, I could tell you how to get food from point A to point B, but I didn't know any of the logistics. And I thought, I wanted to provide education to my children, and they could choose how to use that. But to me as a parent, that was just as important as teaching, financial success, everything about a car, everything about those basic things, as a parent when your kids graduate one day. And so what I did is I enrolled in a social savvy program from a woman who later became my mentor in the image business, Deborah King. And this one-day program for adults, I actually fell in love with not only the content, but I fell in love with the heart and the spirit in which it was delivered. And it was about, when we're competent in an area, we're confident in an area, like that whole competency, confident balance. And I was like the first to raise my hand and admit I had like zero competency over certain life skills. I mean, my gosh, I was fired from my first job due to body odor, and I didn't know because I wasn't taught the difference between, a simple thing, Sherry, think about it, like the difference between a deodorant and an antiperspirant, right? And I only wore the deodorant, so therefore I would pit out everything, and I didn't know the difference, and I was let go. And, body odor is like the number one image buster of, people aren't going to tell you that. They're just going to, like in my case, let me go, or in other cases, just not be around us. And so, yeah, that's kind of really what started it, was for my children's sake. And then I found that other parents were like me, and they're like, gosh, I didn't learn some of these things too. And could my children join your programs? And then that grew through, now my kids are in college, they're 24, 22, and almost 20. And along the way in that path, it grew from teaching youth to now teaching those parents. So now I work with women, really all over, specifically those who were like me and might have missed out on that opportunity of education. It's really my heart and spirit and where I land these days. So I love
Well, and
it.
I think what you do, Lisa, is you really do teach style to your clients. You don't just say, let's meet up and I'll shop for you.
No, no.
So I think that is really key. It's an educational process and it's so empowering versus I'm the one who knows everything and let me get the stuff for you. There's so much more to it, which is why I'm excited for you to work with the girls because I want them to learn this stuff at an early age, especially when they're having such confidence issues and body image issues that they need to learn it's not about your body, it's about the clothes. And not everybody can wear the same stuff. So that's so important.
Yeah. And, you know, we're kind of a funny, you know, human beings, I think we're kind of funny is that when we run up against something that's uncomfortable, we either tend to kind of go with the flow or we tend to overcompensate. And I was one of those kids like back in high school because I didn't know a lot about, you know, the various things as far as like even the dresses or, you know, like dresses for homecoming or prom or, oh my gosh, we're going to go to this, you know, fancy restaurant. And I was the one who would say, why don't we go to pizza? You know, because pizza is easy. You just need a napkin. And it's like, it was just way more comfortable. And so you're right. Today, my greatest desire, strongest desire is to inspire and educate women to live life image strong. And I believe wholeheartedly that when women are educated, when you know, moms are educated, is that we're able to teach the next generation, not only teach, but we're able to model, you know, by out of our own sense of confidence and how we see the world. You know, what's scary today is the different applications that are out there to educate our youth. You know, I literally see moms kind of giving up and going, just look at this app or just use this box, you know, that comes once a month, or just give it over to this, you know, video system you can set on your dresser and ask it questions on how you look. I'm like, are we serious? Is that where we're coming to? And how's that next generation supposed to, you know, empower their next generation? And so, yeah, it's huge for me, and it's a big thing. And you know, you and I were talking earlier about conflicts in the dressing room, conflicts of, you know, that mother-daughter or that mother-son or father-son, that communication about how our kids are showing up. And our heart is to see them empowered, yet how do we communicate and bridge that gap, or how do we come together and it's such a barrier? And honestly, I think it's when, as parents, when we come through from a sense of our own selves are educated and healthy in that subject, we're a much better advocate for our children.
Right. That's for sure. So let me ask you this. And, you know, when we're empowering our young girls, even our women, a lot of times we're like, appearance doesn't matter. It's what's on the inside. It's the beauty that's on the inside. So how do we kind of justify this? Like, because we're telling them it's not about how you look. It's not about how beautiful you are. But then we do want them to present themselves in a certain way. So why is it important that they're learning about fashion?
Yeah. So, you know, oftentimes, again, back to that thing of people think, oh, you must be a fashionista. It's like, honestly, I need to know fashion because it's part of my job and, you know, to be up on the trends and know that. But yet, I don't really think it's about fashion. I don't think it's about beauty. I don't think it's about, you know, being cute, so to speak. I think how we dress and how we show up is so much more about that. And number one, and the greatest thing is to know that our wardrobe and how we groom ourselves and how we accessorize ourselves is a huge communication tool. It's a billboard, if you will. Like if you were driving through Wyoming, you would see certain billboards versus if you're driving in through Las Vegas, you're going to see a whole different type of billboard. And each billboard communicates a certain ambiance, a certain atmosphere about that location. And the same is true with how we show up. It's a nonverbal representation. It's a language. And for some that can be scary, but for others, I think if we look at it in the context of this is just language, I'm communicating to you how I value myself and how I want you to treat me and value me. I mean, think about it. You know, when oftentimes we go into, say, a grocery store or somewhere in public and we're, I don't know about you, Sherry, but it's like I'm running out the door, grab a baseball hat, no makeup. I just grab whatever's on my whatever. And I think about this when we first moved into our house, it's like I'm sweating for 10 hours moving boxes, and I show up at the grocery store. I'm like, I'm looking for something, and I'm like hard pressed to find anyone to help me, people just kind of bypass me, and it's like, excuse me. And they don't even hear me. But then the days you show up, like kind of pulled together and look like you care, and have some stuff going on. It's not about beautiful. It's not about fashion. It's not about anything, but it's kind of looking like you took an extra step to care. It's so funny how people kind of come out of the woodwork. Can I help you? And all of a sudden, there's 2, 3, 4, 5 people, right, who notice you and are trying to help you. And I just think it is about what we expect. We have to show up first, and having honor and reverence to ourselves, and then that gives it communicates to others how we want to be treated. I'm really convinced of that.
Yeah, so it's a little bit, so for our teenagers, it's about confidence, and it's also about showing that they care about themselves, which is super important, because you're going to be treated by other people how you're treating yourself. So I think that's super, super key in that.
Yeah, okay. I think a part of that self-expression, if there's anything that, I would give for tips for parents is really to teach simple things like, what does a great fit look like? So dressing your shape, dressing your body, understanding your shape, and getting educated around that language. So what does too tight look like? What does too loose look like? What is a great fit? Even if you had to search out someone who was maybe an alterations expert, read some books, go on the internet, like find out what is a great fit? And then what can you alter in terms of clothing, and realize that clothing that we purchase off the rack, they're ready to wear, oftentimes depending on the store or the designer or the brand, those pieces are designed for a particular fit model. And then they just make various sizes and assign a number to those sizes, but they're essentially larger or smaller compared to that fit model. Okay. So, maybe that certain brand or that designer or items that you purchase at that store, work for you or don't work for you. Well, why? Can you get those, altered to fit you? And, I think especially as women or young girls is to not think that it's anything about us. It's just to recognize how clothing is manufactured and mass produced. You know what I mean? So
that's so important. Okay, so I have to ask you this question. It's a little off topic, but so there's a particular brand that teenage girls absolutely love, and everything in the store is one size fits all.
Okay.
What do you think about that?
Oh, well, what do you mean in terms of, like, can you go deeper? What do you mean as far as what do I think about it?
Yeah, so I know, like, as a young girl, imagine you're a young girl and you walk into the store and every single thing in the store is one size fits all. Now, usually when I've seen one size fits all, it's because, like, it's a really big thing, like a bathing suit cover up or something. But everything in the store, shorts, shirts, everything, you're supposed to fit into this one size.
Yeah, I think it's crazy.
Yeah.
Who says one size fits all? Because sizing, is unique as nature, So yeah, I think the one size fits all, unless like what you're saying, if it's a poncho or scarf or it's a wrap or something. I've lived on this earth for 52 years, and one size fits all, I just don't see it. I think it's a marketing ploy. Often, I see it as a way to maybe skirt around the actual discussion or around sizing. And I don't know. I think it's just to be educated and go, okay, well, one size fits all. Maybe it fits differently on different body types. It's okay, great. But to not take that in as, well, it didn't fit me, so what does that mean about me? Don't
Yeah.
take it personal. Just know it's a marketing direction for that particular brand or company.
Yeah, as you can probably guess, I'm not super excited about it because when a teen girl does go in there and something doesn't fit, they're like, "Oh, well, I'm too fat for that store," is what I hear. So that's
Mm.
really, really sad to hear that. But okay, so let's talk dressing room.
All right.
We've got a lot of stuff that goes on in the dressing room. And you probably see this with your adult clients as well. It can get emotional in there when you've got this full length mirror, a lot of times a 360 mirror. You're trying things on you're excited about, or you wouldn't have taken them off of the racks. What do you do when your teen daughter, or for you, your adult client, starts to get emotional about the fact that things aren't fitting her as she wants them to?
You know what? I take that. I think it's like pre-framing. So, a dear friend and one of my mentors, Nikki Rausch, has taught me about pre-framing. So it's just working with clients and pre-framing what we're going to be doing, maybe our next step, and in this case, definitely pre-framing from a parent in terms of if you're shopping with a son or daughter is educating them about what we just talked about, different designers, different stores, the fit is all different. So the number on the sizing could mean many things. So if you take in a particular size, but it's too tight or too loose, means really nothing. We're just, it's a journey. So I think oftentimes I'll educate my clients that this is a journey and we're looking for what serves you. This is nothing to speak to your value of your body or you as a person. It's just we're going on a journey, and then we can be great with that. And then I think the other key is to find, like, if you're shopping in a department store, to if you don't have customer service, okay, and you know what I'm talking about. Some of these places we shop, there's zero service. So as a parent, I would bring the size you believe that your child is and a size down and a size up. So you have essentially maybe 3 different sizes of the same t-shirt or top or jacket or pant or whatever it is, or short that you're looking at. But if you're at a department store that does have customer service, oftentimes I will even call ahead, or this is what I used to do, and say, I'm looking for a particular associate that will actually be there to work with me, so I can stay, by the dressing room or outside the dressing room, and someone can do the running for me. So someone who's going to be with me, and go back and forth. Do you know what I'm saying? So you can be there and be that supportive advocate, either in the dressing room or just outside. But the number one thing I would really ensure that you're not giving the vibe of is like your displeasure with like how something fits in terms of relating back to, the individual's body, right? Just saying, I just don't feel like that serves you in this area. And then just point it out. If it's how it's fitting you around the arms or the bust or the hips or, the length, I think we can do better is a great one. I think we can do better. And I'm asking the sales associate for a couple other options.
I like that. I'm going to write that down. I think we can do better. I'm going to make a list of these so we can put it out there for parents. I like that you're talking about making sure whatever your comment is or your critique about the clothes that they tried on, it doesn't go back to the body. That's so important, because I've been in the dressing rooms with my 3 daughters and I overhear other moms, kind of how they're dealing with things. And I'll hear moms say, "Oh, that makes you look fat." And what they're essentially saying is what you're saying. It doesn't fit you correctly, but that does come back to the body when you say it in those words. So I like the idea of, I don't think that serves you well. And then pointing out where exactly it's kind of hugging, like, oh, the arms are too tight, or, I think you need a little more length or whatever it is. So it's not about the body, it's about the clothes.
Yeah. Or, things like I'm noticing, or my eye is drawn to this area, and to be able to, again, I think that's where it takes this language, learning this language of what is a great fit. just the other day I was shopping with a VIP client, and it was a full day shop, and we were trying on denim, and she's like, how do I know if denim is too tight in the crotch? And I was mentioning, well, because you'll see immediate whiskering. And she's like, whiskering? And I said, well, if you look, just below the crotch, you'll see the different lines around the upper thigh area. And she's like, oh my gosh, I am however age. And she said, I never knew that was a term. And she was like, it actually makes it look too tight. And so I'm like, well, a really good fit, something that is fitting you well, you would really have minimal whiskering there. And then a second way to, observe the whiskering is to go ahead and sit and then stand. And if the material is still pulling, then that's an indicator that you may want to size up. So in no way or shape or form am I saying it's because you're whatever and then giving sizes. It's not about that. It's what's serving you well, what's fitting you well. And then what is our solution? So what's the problem? What's the solution? And you're right, Sherry. I think any age person is very conscientious of those negative words. And it's just not about our shape or our weight. It's about dressing to flatter our unique silhouette and shape. And there's so many, and looking at wardrobe as a tool versus this emotional thing. And it starts in the home. It starts with that education.
It does. That's for sure. I have noticed, like with my kids, once in a while, when they've grown a little bit, they need to go up a size. That number is just such a thing that they focus on, and there have been tears in our household over it, and it's difficult to deal with. So, have you ever had that happen with an adult client where they just are teary-eyed or?
Yeah, I've been in the image industry for, 18 years, and a sole focus the last 2.5 on strictly women and, building their wardrobe confidence. And so been in hundreds of closets and in dressing rooms, and you're right. Yet I think that when we fully will take a hot minute to really see ourselves. And I don't mean oh yeah, I know, I get it, I'm this or that. So not that kind of seeing ourselves, but I mean look in the mirror and see yourself and be like, wow, all right. And then the idea is choosing wardrobe to accentuate your assets, because we all have them. And then to be conscientious of what are those areas that we may want to camouflage, because I think we all have something, right? Dude, we all have it. I mean, if we're honest, we all have something we want to camouflage. And then the next step is knowing how to use wardrobe lines and fit and structure of fabric to do just that. Accentuate the assets, camouflage the concerns. So yes, I have had tears in the dressing room with clients. But honestly, some of the best tears have been when they look in the mirror and they see themselves. And I'm like, look at you. Look at how you're showing up. And they're like, oh my gosh, sometimes for the first time. And it's like tears of acknowledgement, like, oh my gosh, I'm beautiful. I'm confident. And they might be a 40-year-old woman who literally has never seen that in themselves because they haven't taken the time. It could be a billion reasons, but yeah. And I've seen it on the flip side too, of course, like meltdowns, like, oh my God, I thought I was a size whatever, and I'm a size this. And I mean, but that's all the temporary stuff. It's like, okay, let's just size up a few. I mean, just do it. And then when you get the person in their right size, you get the individual with the fabric that serves them best. It's amazing how once it's on and they know it serves them and it's good for them, it's like, it kind of doesn't matter anymore.
So we just have to get them past that number.
Yeah, but it is human nature. It is human nature. And I remember, and I don't know if this is still the thing, but I remember hearing like like the perfect shape or whatever was a certain, a certain measurement, and then literally getting out a tape measure and measuring, my bust, my waist, my hip, and going, oh, I'm not even anywhere close to that. So therefore I must not even matter. But, I heard something somewhere where they were comparing Barbie, like, the Barbie doll, Barbie. Mm-hmm. And they were saying that if you really looked at Barbie if she was a real woman, that it would be impossible to be her. And because of the unrealistic literal measurements of this plastic doll actually could really never be a healthy young woman, or woman of any age, really. And I don't know all those numbers right off. This actually, it inspires me to go back and find out those statistics. But I remember hearing that, and like she'd have to have like I think her feet would be like 3 or 4 inches. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like under 100 pounds. I mean, so yeah, I just think the more we can talk about and use the words like healthy, you have a healthy figure, you have a healthy body, you have beautiful curves, and just using those words for your son or daughter, or hands. I mean, I'm shopping with my son who's 24. My kids love to shop with me. It's so fun. And I was just shopping with my son before he went back to college, and I used, I was just like handsome. I was like, you look so handsome. And just that reinforcement, because guess what? Those young kids are going to grow up to be preteens and then teens, and they're going to be in college. They're going to be going on interviews. They're going to be, doing all those things. And so what they learn at these young ages is literally going to stay with them. So for parents, I'd say keep being consistent. They need somewhere to go that's a sounding board of consistency. And if we just stay true to those words all along the way, we will be raising healthy, that healthy next generation, that is well educated.
Right. Let me throw in there about the dressing room drama that we see with a lot of the young girls. I would say another thing when they're getting emotional is to not try to just shut it down. Just say, it's okay, you're beautiful. Because sometimes they just need a moment. So let them be in that moment. Let them cry it out if they need to. And then say, how can I help you? What can I do for you? I think you look amazing. What do you want to try next? Do you need a break? Just to really, like you said, to support them and be there for them. But you don't have to just like push through and say, we're here to shop. We're going to shop. I don't care how you're feeling. Take a break or do what you need to do to take care of their emotions first.
Yeah, completely be done. I think it's really back to the pre-framing of the day or the time together. And, when you and I were young girls, it was catalogs and, the different literature or whatever things that came in the mail. And I think one of the great things that we have today is Pinterest. And so if I had young kids today, I'd be like, let's create a Pinterest board of, how you want to show up, and like look at a school year and go, okay, so what are your activities this year? Like what are parts of your life that you actually literally need wardrobe for? I do this with my adult clients. It's like, what do you do on a given week? It's like zoom out, like let's zoom out for a year and let's zoom in for this month. What season are we in? So how do we want to show up in fall? How about winter? How about spring? How about summer? And have some preparation and some purpose in there. So you're shopping with intention. Same thing like in the spring, bathing suits start coming out, and shorts and tank tops, and 4th of July comes up. So it's like, instead of thinking of those things on July 3rd, think of them in, June. So I always like to say, like, when the season starts changing in the stores, like, I don't know if you noticed this, Sherry, but like back in July, right after 4th of July, they had back to school, the pens and the paper and the highlighters.
Oh, yeah.
So
I was like, not yet.
So I always use that. I've always did that for years of going, okay, so thinking back to school, but then sitting down and go, all right, piece of paper, a pen. What are your activities? So how many pairs of jeans do you need? How many tops? What are your jackets like from last year? What about shoes? Oh, do you have gym class? Oh, do you have a fall sport? And then putting them all down on paper first, and then letting your son or daughter know what the basic budget is, right? I think that's super important. So whatever that number is, being very clear. And so then that helps you know perhaps where to shop or where to make your investment pieces and where you can go more inexpensive. And also give, in your pre-framing, give some dates out there of when you can shop again. Sometimes I think at back to school, you think, oh my gosh, I need a whole year's worth of clothing, on August 30th, where really you just need some back to school basics, perhaps. And then as the seasons begin to change, maybe we shop again the first part of November. We shop again, when you're off school for the holiday. We shop winter. You know what I'm saying? And so it gives a view to a young person of like, okay, I don't feel like I have to get it all now. And I think it takes the stress off of our kids. When I was shopping with Colin, our youngest, before he went back to college in Arizona, he was like, okay, Mom, I have some interviews I'm going on. So I need some dress shirts. I need a couple pairs of pants. I need some basic t-shirts, the socks and underwear deal. He's like, but when winter comes, I'll need this. I'm like, we will cover that in December. He's like, perfect. Boom. End of story. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think one thing you said is super important. And that's about purpose and intention. So before you head to the mall, that you actually do look through the wardrobe and see what they need. That's something I haven't been great at. You've been teaching me that. And so I'll tell you right now, I'm going to the mall tomorrow with all 3 of my girls. Okay. And that is like super stressful for me because I'm trying to support each one of them as they're lined up in their dressing rooms. But this will make their life easier and mine if we go with the intention of we're going to find 3 sweaters, 2 pairs of jeans, and a shirt instead of just going through the store like, oh, that's cute, and just pulling whatever. So I think that is super key, heading to the mall when you're going to go back to school shopping or in December, whenever it is, that you really have that purpose and intention.
Yeah, like list. What is that list?
It's like put a list together. Yeah.
It's like going grocery shopping, before you have a menu for the week. It's like, okay, what do we need at the grocery store? We don't need to buy the whole freaking grocery store. We just need those certain items for the menu for the week. And we'll get steak the next week when we change our menu out, and that's the thing, because it's like, I think media these days is like, you need it all. We need abundance. And truly, 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 if we can teach this process with intention, like you mentioned, then it helps our children as they grow and get their first jobs. They're looking at their wardrobe. I don't care what their friends are doing. You kind of like look left and right and go, well, my friends are buying all this or that. Hey, when you start spending, when it's your money, then you need to come to the table with intention. But if they don't even know what that word means, it is way harder. And so many of my clients actually at 30, 40, 50 years old are kind of coming off the mentality of like shopaholic. Just because I have, a credit card doesn't mean, what does that mean? Okay, does that mean I'm going to go in debt? So I think you're right. Starting with the intention and just being super mindful.
Okay, so I have to ask this. So there's struggles sometimes in the dressing room. Like it's not always just because our daughters or our sons are feeling self-conscious or they're feeling fat or they're feeling like they don't fit in. What are the other struggles that you see come around between parents and kids in the dressing room?
Yeah, I think it's maybe so I've stood outside of a dressing room door on many occasions, and it's been a blessing for me because I hear lots of conversations, lots and lots of conversation. Probably have seen it all. So nothing shocks me anymore, really doesn't. But I think oftentimes when a mother-daughter shop together, oftentimes 9 times out of 10, they are completely different fashion styles. Okay. Not only is it different generationally, but it's different styles. Um, Perfect example is my daughter and I would pull out a blouse or top or whatever, pants, and I'd go, oh my gosh, this is so cute. This would be amazing on you. And she'd look over and go, really, Mom? And I'd be like, yeah, don't you think? And she's like, and I'd be like, oh, okay. And I'd put it back. And what that really is, it doesn't mean that any of us are wrong. It just, what it's being communicated is, Mom, that's not my style. That's not something I gravitate towards. And so one of the things is like understanding what is your son or daughter's style? How are they wanting to show up? And one of the greatest ways is to start a Pinterest board, together. Like, hey, show me what are some of your styles that you really like, and then become educated on what are the characteristics that make up a style. What are the lines? What are the fit? What are the textures? What are the what are the patterns? Is it graphics? Is that simplicity? All about comfort. So it's like really truly listening without judgment, and use it as a time to be informed. And as a parent, it's a great transition from authoritarian to leader mentor. It's a really nice bridge to gap, because I think the authoritarian, if it's always authoritarian, you will get this because I'm buying it for you. Well, guess what? They're going to wear it outside the house, but they're going to have something else in their bag that they'll probably be putting on.
Right.
And I mean, it just is. Come on. And so I think at least in our situation, I know what our kids appreciated was, and it wasn't because I was a stylist. It was about like really honoring them to listen, like, what is it that you're liking, but also having a relationship to where what's appropriate.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the next thing. That's the second thing outside of like their own unique style that they're looking to try and build. It's like, well, what's appropriate? What is appropriate for school? So do you know your school's dress code? And if there's not a official dress code, what is your family's values in terms of how you want to show up? And if there's not family values around that, like it's really never occurred to anyone in the family, it's a great time to start talking about some of those things, and bringing it up. For example, in my family, zero. It was never a discussion. So to me, it was always about what everyone else was wearing. I need this because everyone else has it and I want to fit in. End of story. I never said those things because I think back then I could never articulate it, but inside my spirit, that's what was crying out. I just want to fit in. I just want to be liked. I didn't know any different. And so I think as parents, when we can be cognizant, but not be an authoritarian, but be more of a leader mentor, those are some of the things that can be helpful to alleviate those frustrations or arguments in the dressing room. So,
I like what you said about the Pinterest board, because if you start out at home and you're giving your daughter, your son that control to basically pick whatever they want off the internet, right? And then to show you what they are liking, then you can have that discussion before you even get to the mall. And also, if you're going to be there to help them choose things, you're not doing, like you said, just pulling things out and they're like, nope, I don't like that. So you kind of have an idea ahead of time what they want. I have to tell you a quick story that I think is really funny about what you were just saying. Is I have a rule with my girls when we go shopping that I get to choose one outfit for them to try on, no obligation. So this one time I picked out this outfit, Jordan tried it on. She comes out of the dressing room. I thought she looked great. And she was like, Mom, I look exactly like you. Then I realized, yeah, I am picking clothes that I like for her to try on. So I just thought that was kind of funny, exactly what you're saying. So, okay. So let me ask you the wind up question here. Okay. What advice would you give your 12-year-old self?
Wow, 12 years old. So how old are we in, or what grade are we in 12?
That's around like 7th grade-ish, around there.
Wow. That's such a great question. I think that for oftentimes, many of us, 7th grade nowadays might be middle school, like 6th, 7th, 8th, or maybe you're just starting middle school, like 7th, 8th, 9th. I know that was in my case. But I think it would be like, just to begin to know, what I would actually tell myself. Here's what I would tell myself, and I'm just learning it at 50. Is I would tell my 12-year-old self to start a journal, start journaling about, what makes me happy, what saddens me, what frustrates me, what my dreams are, what my goals are, and for the purpose of getting to know myself better. Because I think as we get to know ourselves better, like our true, real self, and not our best friend, not our sister, not our mother, not who, maybe in school we're kind of told or put in a mold to be, but like who we are. I think it could be a fascinating discovery of a process of getting to know ourselves better. And it will help us to be a better us, which is translates, I think, into a better student, a better family member, a better friend, and then eventually a better, high schooler, senior, going into college, if that's what you choose. I probably would, that's what I would tell myself. It's funny, you had asked this earlier, and I was thinking more about clothing and things like this, but, actually I would say, get to know yourself through journaling, and then have a few books, have a little morning routine of something that starts your day, because it's so easy to walk into school and by simply how someone looks at you, you're like, oh my God, my day's ruined. Or if you remember that, I would start a morning routine of like what those things are that you value. If it's a certain affirmation or scripture, or if it's an affirmation, or if it's a magazine, or I don't know, that could be different for everyone, but to begin that, to start your day. And again, it's all circled back to who you are as a person. So
that's something we need to talk to the girls about at this event on September 29th, right? So I'm so excited to have you, Lisa, at this event. And I'll just remind everybody that You Got This event is on September 29th, and it's going to be a life-changing event. Just imagine having Lisa in the room with your daughter and bolstering her confidence and talking about these issues that we're seeing in the dressing room. And these girls are just going to thrive in middle school because of their the presentations that all these amazing speakers are giving, and especially Lisa. They are just having such body image issues, trying to be those supermodels, look just like those people in the magazines. And we're going to teach them it's all about them. It's not about trying to be like someone else.
It's so good. And, it's funny. You just reminded me, when I was a senior in high school, I actually tried out for a pageant. And of course, that's like the epitome of like, you're supposed to look a certain way or whatever to most people. But actually, what I my roommate, actually, she ended up winning, and she was the first Black Miss Washington, USA. And I remember she was an underwater welder, and she was awesome.
Wow.
And she broke the mold for like anything that was the supposed to, and I was just like, I was fascinated. And like this whole thing is just like broken. It's really is about being you and being the best you. So how do you do that? And understanding wardrobe, how you groom yourself, the accessories is a visible, nonverbal part of expressing that to the world. And I'm so excited to share that at the event. So it'll be fun.
That's going to be great. So for those of you who tune in, whether it's right now or you're going to, watch this later, feel free to ask questions in the comments. We will definitely get those questions to Lisa, or I can answer some questions as well. And I will put in the comments also how you can connect with Lisa. She is an amazing stylist. She has some membership groups, and she has some, Facebook groups that you can get a lot of information from. So if you yourself as a mom or as a dad are looking for some fashion advice, because we are role models for our kids, and you need some help, like really embracing who you are and finding your own image, Lisa is a great resource for that.
Thank you so much. This was awesome. And I just really appreciate the platform to be able to share. Love it.
Absolutely. Thanks, Lisa. You have a wonderful night, and I will talk to you later.
All right, hun. Talk to you soon. Bye. See you, everyone. Bye.